I want you to think about the 2-second rule. The 2-second rule is merely a starting point that you can adjust later for different game modes. In comp, for me, it's a 1-second rule. In trials, it's half a second. I'd be happy to make a video on this if there's enough interest, so let me know down in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. Okay. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ascendant Nomad and I'm your Crucible Doctor. Today's topic concerns the 2-second rule and how you should be adopting it immediately into your playstyle. So what is it? The 2-second rule is this. If no targets present themselves in my current field of view within 2 seconds or less, I move away from the current position and take up a new one. For faster game modes like competitive and trials, I adjust this down when appropriate to reflect the pace of the game that's being played. Like we touched on in the previous video, the 2-second rule is essentially encouraging you to move more. It's part of a greater subset of good movement, which helps you to be less predictable and static in everyday Crucible. Now what does that mean in person? Here, let me show you.
Down. One after another. Double down.
Essentially, the 2-second rule makes me move around the map more. I know a lot of you will have anxiety doing this because you're moving more than you're used to. You might think that moving more doesn't work for certain playstyles either, like sniping. Sniping is about finding a lane. And a lane can be defined as the unobstructed view between any 2 points on the map. So, if you're moving around the map, what you're really doing is opening up the possibilities for you to pick and choose which lane you want to engage down. Again, here's me running around with a sniper in a top tier, skill-based matchmaking bracket in Rumble.
You have my respect, Hunter.
The reality is that the more you move, the more fights you get to pick and choose to engage in, instead of feeling like the fight is coming to you. For the majority of players watching this video, you're likely already in lobbies where people move rather hesitantly. Injecting a bit of pace will dramatically change the way things happen around you. Now here's some footage that I got off a friend's account. They're in the lower end of the skill spectrum, so the lobbies were very forgiving for me. This first sequence of play is just me using whatever random loadout they had. I haven't touched a thing or optimized anything other than the keybinds. Here I'm going to play at the pace that the game is playing at.
2 for 1. This is wonderful. Double down.
Now here's the same loadout in the same game, but with the 2-second rule applied.
Zone C captured. You have zone advantage. Zone A lost. Strength in numbers, Guardian. Double down. Guardian to the right of you. Guardian to the left of you. Guardian in front of you. Volleyed and thunder. Zone C captured. That's a power. Zone A captured. That's a power play. You took them. Now hold. Double down. Ikora would be proud of you, Warlock. I've seen enough. I'm calling this one.
In an absolute ocean of variables that comes with playing a PvP game, it's nice to have some control over something. With a fast-paced game like Destiny, being able to control how fast the game plays for you can be comforting, especially if the pace of the game that you choose to play out is significantly faster than the norm. If you're in lower skill brackets and you start whizzing around the map with the 2-second rule, the results will be night and day. You may see a 50% boost to your efficiency simply because you started getting more involved. In higher skill brackets, the 2-second rule is more or less the standard for good play and not the exception. And even then, there will be times you need to adapt and change the parameters of this rule to be quicker or slower. Most rules are made to be broken, like Telesto anytime there's a new content drop. The 2-second rule is a device to help you gain better movement and target acquisition. The whole point of becoming better at PvP is to gain more confidence to help you win more fights. A great place to begin would be to go out and find more fights to get your ass kicked until you can start returning the favor consistently. The 2-second rule helps you find fights, but it should not be used to dictate them entirely. Once you've found a target to engage, the 2-second rule is now entirely optional. In the interest of improvement and consistency, you should try and finish your fights within the 2 seconds or less. Either get the kill or disengage entirely. Any longer and other guns start to come into play. But sometimes you do need to hold your ground or keep put. Maybe a multi-kill scenario is on the cards. Maybe you're spawn trapping with your team. Maybe you're waiting for a better opportunity to pop your super. Maybe there's an objective in play. The point is, using context clues around you is vital to making good decisions as to when to move and when to hold. Do not be afraid to apply the 2-second rule to your thought process as well. If you can't come up with a good course of action within 2 seconds from your current location, move to a new one and try again. Ideally, you'd be strategizing en route to the action whilst practicing the 2-second rule, but that's part of the larger topic of game sense. Another thing you need to adapt the 2-second rule to is the lobby that you find yourself in. Luckily, that can be broken down very simply. In Sixes, you're entering a pretty chill experience. You don't really have a whole lot of agency over a game, and there's no pressure. You're free to do what you want. It's the perfect environment to kick back, throw on that vigilance wing, and tickle people from afar until you start learning how to kill with it. Also great for experimenting with new ideas, like the 2-second rule. In Threes, the stakes are higher. You have to form a good bond with your team and outwit the others in a game of good decision making, quick wits, and even quicker reflexes. In Rumble, it's you versus the world. There's no hiding from anyone when you've got 5 targets on your back. Not to mention the countless of times in General Crucible where you will find yourself in a 1vx scenario, which is entirely winnable if you play your cards right. So I simply break it down like this. The more responsibility that I have as a player, the less time I have to decide what to do. Which basically means I need to come up with a plan of action and stick to it. With the 2-second rule, you have a window to pause and figure it out if you're not already strategizing on the fly. In Sixes, I start with 2 seconds. In Threes, I reduce that to 1 second. In Trials, I try never to take longer than a second if I'm on my own. In Comp, it's the same. In Rumble, I try not to stop at all, because there's really nothing to it. It's kill or be killed. However long you need in these situations is up to you, and how comfortable you are with your game sense and your general confidence as a player. But like I've been saying this whole video, the quicker you can decide what to do, the more likely you are to come out on top. Practice, practice, practice. The 2-second rule is something I don't need to spend ages talking about because it literally comes down to going in game and doing it. If you're having trouble remembering to do it, write a note on a post-it and stick it to your monitor or TV. Say this before every game. I'm going to move more. I'm going to move more. I'm going to move more. Focus on just moving. Forget doing well. This rule is about improving the fundamental skill of movement, and you don't want to half-ass this. The kills and higher efficiencies will come and go, but good movement is forever, because it is the strongest pillar of the best players. It's the #1 skill gap between good and great players. I've hinted at this several times throughout the video, but the next fundamental you want to be pairing this with is game sense, and using movement to efficiently move to where the action is. It would help to develop game sense to know where the action is so you can practice the 2-second rule better. So, let me know if you'd like to see a video that introduces the basics of game sense and how it relates to target acquisition. But for now, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do. Oh, and thank you, all of you, for 20,000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me. I'm Ascendant Nomad, and I'm your Crucible Doctor. See you in the next one. Cheers.